Hello everyone. I was going to do a video, but I think actually I'm just going to hop on here and do this live, and then I can save it, and it just gives me less time editing and sorting it out. But I want to share with you, hey my gorgeous girl, hey Casey, my girls are here, hi Martin. I'm not going to look who's coming in, I'm just going to say what I have to say. Hi gorgeous, and I hope you received something from it, because I certainly did. Gorgeous, gorgeous girls. Oh, I love, hi Hayley. Oh, it's so lovely to see you all coming in. See, I forget this. When I do videos, it's just me talking to myself. Hey Mary, I'll just let you join. How are you all anyway? How are you doing? I've had really much no sleep. You know me. I made the mistake of saying, hi Martin. I made the mistake of saying to Spirit just before I was dropping off last night, if you want to speak to me tonight, then speak to me. So it's my fault, but I haven't slept a wink. And I ended up getting up and going downstairs. I took my journal, I took my art pad, and I channeled this beautiful image here, which I will speak to you about in a second. But I had a very insightful dream, and poor connection. If the connection goes, I might have to zip off and do the recording. But anyway, yes, it was very empowering, this picture. She was full of fire. Feisty feminines, fiery feminines. That's what we're talking about today. So anyway, I had this ongoing vision. It was like watching a movie, honestly. And I was looking through the eyes of this person who was a female, and she was called Carrie. I knew my name was Carrie in this vision. And she was wearing men's clothing. And I knew I was back in the olden days, in the 1900s, that sort of era. It was very sort of cowboys and taverns and all these fields. But I was either in hiding or I was running. And there was this constant fear of fight or flight, survival mode in my being. And I knew I was running and I wasn't safe and I was going to be shot. And if people knew I was a woman, there was trouble afoot, shall we say. And I had one handcuff around my left wrist, which wasn't attached. It was just the one. I don't know how that happened. But it suggested that, you know, things weren't good. And if someone saw that, I was going to get into trouble. But yeah, as I say, I knew my name was Carrie in this vision. And I was running, and this fear and this survival mode in my body was just relentless. And I'd live with it. And I knew as a woman, this was how we collectively were feeling, right? And I was running, and I knew that each time someone was close to finding me, I'd have to be on the run again. And so I was either hiding or I was running. And there was one point where I was in these fields, these farmers' fields, and there were these black workers, and I knew that we were in an age where there was a lot of racism. High power feminine. There was a lot of racism, and, you know, there wasn't that freedom and that liberation that exists. Oh really? Let me continue. There's something's happening, girl, big time. So in this dream then, I was fearful for these guys in the field, because they were out in open land in the daytime, and I knew, and they were trying to run. Hi honey. And I knew they were going to get shot if they didn't take cover and hide. And I found myself hiding in the edge of this field, where like the fence was, and it was in the corner, and there was a gap, and I managed to crouch down in this corner of a field and hide. And to my horror, I watched these two men get shot in plain sight, and I felt it in my being, and it made me cry. But I had to be quiet, because if I made a noise, I was going to get shot. And I knew that I had to wait there until it was dark, which was when I could be on the run again. And so I spent the night there crouched and in fear, and this fear in my body. And I just was not safe. And then this beautiful cow came up to me just as it was starting to get dark, and it instinctively knew I was there. And he put his nose through the fence, and I could see like the speckles on all the dimples on his nose and the little drips of water, and he was licking me. And I was like, see, the animal kingdom accepts me and darkness accepts me, but to be a woman in this era, this world does not accept me for who I am. It doesn't accept me. And it's wrong. It's wrong. And it's wrong that these black people are not accepted for who they are, and we are not free. And I knew that I had to run and find a different place to be. And so when night fell, I ran, and I found myself in this town, this old sort of cowboy western sort of town. And I, again, dressed as this man. I had this cap, and I had to hide this one handcuff with a man's bandana, and it was specific. It's hidden by a man's bandana. So I had this shackle on my wrist, and I knew that if somebody saw this, I was going to be in trouble. So I was constantly in this fear, like, I hope the bandana doesn't fall off. And I knew if I was going to stay in this town or have any sense of life, the only place for me to be as a woman and to wear like female clothing and to actually not be disguised as a man was to be in a brothel. And there was so much symbolism in this whole vision. So I then went into this brothel, and I found myself in this sort of red corsety dress. Hey, and I was just felt safe because I was then one of the women there, and I became very much a part of the community, and people knew who I was. But I had to be in this brothel to be safe as a woman. And I remember going in this, it was because I was looking through the eyes of this woman, right? And I remember this face, but it was me. And I had these black leather boots on, and I put my foot up on the table with hooking my dress up in front of these men that were there with their beer all, you know. And they just looked at me like, ooh, ooh, oh, there's a fire in her. Something's a bit different. And as I did it, I just felt this fire rise up in me that, oh, there is something within me that I'm still unsure of or haven't released myself. But I can't express it. I cannot express it. In order for me to be safe and to be, you know, I just have to be this. I have to stay here and be this version or this archetype of this woman. And I stayed there for some time in this vision, and I felt safe, and I was part of this community. And I'd taken off the shackle because I'd sort of said, oh, this needs taking off, you know. And one evening, Spirit came to me in the vision saying, yes, this is safe and comfortable, and you're no longer in that fight or flight or freeze as a woman, but this is not your final destination. You need to pioneer a path of freedom, and you need to go up onto the hill to the pine forests and pay the way for the others. But first you must do it for yourself. And so in the evening, they had no suspicions that I was going to try and escape because, you know, I'd made a bit of a home for myself there. And that in itself was symbolic, that we make a home where it's safe, but it's not the right place for us. And so in the evening, I went out onto the balcony, and I was wearing this red dress, as I say, and I snuck away in the darkness. And Spirit's always told me, whenever we have to move you, it has to be done in the darkness, because if people see what you're doing, they resist it and they try to stop you doing it. And I think there's so much symbolism in what I was seeing. So anyway, I went and I escaped in the evening, and I fled. And I knew that there was this point in the land where I passed over, and that was a new beginning. It felt like a new beginning. No one knew who Carrie was in this new land, and nobody knew my past, nobody knew my history, nobody knew what I was running from. I didn't have to pretend to be a man, I didn't have to dress up and conform, and this is what a woman looks like in society, and this is the only way we will accept her, that she's objectified. I was myself, and I was free, and I was on my own, and I went to the top of this hill, and I lived there for quite some time by myself, and I was at peace, and I was experiencing this freedom and this liberation of being a woman with no constraints, with no sort of restrictions on me, no shackles, no ideas of what I should look like, how I should feel, how I should behave. I could be my fiery, powerful self, and I learnt to commune with the animals, and I was at one with Spirit, and I was in peace. And then one day I knew that Spirit said, now you've learned and you've mastered what it feels like to be this woman in her empowered, in her embodiment, you need to call the other Carries. And I came out of my tavern, I didn't say anything, but I just spoke to the wind, and I said, I call the other Carries, because there are other women out there who are victims of domestic violence, who are victims of being oppressed, who have been abused, who've been told that they can't be too loud, they can't be too much, be quiet, don't be too feisty, don't be too fiery, don't be too powerful, don't intimidate people. And I called them, and this echo went out into the wind. And then the next day, this army of other women came to find me. Must have been instinctive, but they were magnetized to come and find me. They knew where I was, and they said, "Are you the Carrie that we've been looking for?" And I said, "Yes." And I spent time teaching them. Oh, really? How funny. Well, you might have the same spirit then. But I was on the top of this mountain, and I was teaching these women how to work with their spirit and how to embody this fire and to fuel it. And it was this feeling of cracking open and letting this hot ember of our beings be seen in its fullness, and to be accepted, and to be a womb man. And there was so much richness in it. But we had to be sort of away from everything in order to find and establish what this fire was within us. And and as I was teaching them, I began to chant, and I took a scepter and I said, "I am Carrie," and I stabbed it in the ground. And then they all started chanting, "I am Carrie, I am Carrie." And the voice was echoing through the trees and through the mountains. And then I got down on my hands and knees, and I put my hands in the earth, in Mother Earth. She's very female, and she cracked. And the other women followed suit. It was instinctive. We just put our hands in the earth, and we put our fingers in the dirt, and the earth started to crack and break open with this almighty force. And underneath, this volcanic lava started to come up out of the cracks. And this glow was a representation of this woman, hey Maria, of this woman, of this fire that has been hidden and suppressed in the core of our being. And she was breaking forth, and she was coming out. And this lava poured out over the earth, down, in reverse of the story that I had just walked. So it went down through this kind of western village, through the brothel, through the post office, through this little village, through the fields where I'd seen the death of these two beautiful men. And it went right back to where I began. Hey, Willem. And then it turned to ash, and it annihilated that story and that history. Ooh, gives me chills. And it became hard, and the lava cooled, and then there was this silence that echoed through the land. Oh, hi. It echoed that history had been changed, and no more would women be suppressed to hide their feminine divine power, that we had taken a stance, and we were going to rise, and we were going to shine. Rise and shine. And we were going to be fully alive. And when I say that, I'm hearing the Flyleaf song that I've been doing a lot of Flyleaf covers on the band. Fully alive. How does it feel? Or what does it mean to you to be fully alive? To be so in your power, and you're so authentic that nothing is hidden. And you don't have to hide your fullness. That you don't have to act like other men. You don't, not it's that it's male and female, but you don't have to be suppressed. Rise and shine, your light has come. And I feel like this calling is coming out of me, and as I do it, as I sung this song today, I put it on my thing. Go check it out. It's called Goddess Frequency, right? And there is this roar that is coming. Anyway, I haven't got to the best part. So I drew this drawing of this woman. And she's fiery. This was me. I suddenly saw myself with these flames of fire. My hair became long and locks of tongues of fire. And the wind, I became one with the wind. I was one with the earth. I was one with the stars. I was one with everything. And this energy was the energy of a liberator, and someone that would bring freedom, and someone that would set captives free, and someone that would heal and mother and support and comfort and balm people's wounds and wrap them up and take them to make them whole. And I have this passion, and I don't know where it's come from, but it keeps being amplified in me, particularly women that have been abused or suppressed or felt emotionally pressed down, that they can't, and they've forgotten, even if it's subconscious, how to be that full expression of themselves. And I do believe through the songs, through the words, through the being, and showing through example, that things are going to crack and break and things are going to change. Anyway, I woke up, there was more to it. I had a whole other chapter that I will give maybe another day about my native chief came and this whole ancestry of what I'm here for. But it's to activate others, right? It's to activate you with my voice, with my passion, with my fire. It's to activate. We're all different, right? My passion and my purpose is very different. And what I was hearing is listen to the God winks. God winks are those things that they're synchronicities or coincidences, things that get your attention either because they make you violently angry about something, the injustice of something, or you're very passionate about it in a very excited, exuberant way. I'm talking richness. I'm not talking I could kind of get on board with that. I'm talking about the thing that sets you on fire, okay? It ravishes you from the inside out, that you have to speak it. You have to get involved with it. You have to see a change. You have to be the change. That's the passion I'm talking about. What are the winks that are highlighting or lighting up for you in those areas that Spirit is saying to you, are you fully alive or are you lukewarm? I read a scripture yesterday and I was taken to this scripture that said, do not let your gifts be wasted. You are here for a purpose. And if you're lukewarm, Spirit will spit you out its mouth. I would rather you are hot or cold, but please don't be warm, because that's no use to anyone. I want you to be fully alive and fully on fire, okay? So anyway, there was this fullness of this and it carried on. And I woke up in the morning, I was telling my daughter, I've had no sleep, I've been up drawing. She's like, Mum, what's the candles doing and the tea? And I'm like, yeah. But she said, Mum, she said, I'm going off to college and I'm about to do a feminism speech. She said, I really think it's very significant that you know, I've written it in my book. It's called Carrie's Song, right? Carrie's Song. And this was me documenting my whole experience of this woman, Carrie. And she said, I really think you should look that up. Around the 1900s, was there a woman called Carrie who was like a female activist or something? I don't know my history that great, especially not American history. Carrie Chapman Carr was a female activist in the 1900s who fought for, get this, black women and women's freedom. She was the first person to promote an army of women, voteless women, and took them to Congress so that they were able to vote for the first time. This woman was me last night. I was channeling her energy with such fervency and passion. And I'm not sure about the details, but it was symbolic of the fact that we are here to make a change. And we are Carrie. Oh, got goosebumps. This is why I was chanting, I am Carrie. I'm not Carrie, I'm Rebecca. I was saying, I am Carrie and you are Carrie. And these women were rising and there was an army of women. And yes, the men can rise too, but this is particularly for the divine feminines, because the divine feminines are here to support the divine masculine. We are here to be in balance. And if we would all rise, we would change shit, right? And I think it's time we stood our ground and we took this fire and used it for something of importance, okay? And I'm all for balance and I'm all for, you know, not going crazy about things, but when there's a fire in your belly that comes from a source that you cannot explain, and you have experiences like this that you cannot deny, that the Spirit is speaking, okay? I didn't know the history of this woman, and I didn't know what she stood for or who she fought for, but it was the two elements in this vision and this dream, and I felt it. I felt it with every fibre of my being that this is something that I need to continue, because we've moved on from that. We do vote, we do have a place, but there's more. And what I'm feeling is there's more in the spiritual sense, not necessarily in the political, civil sense. But I'm sure there's a lot to fight about, but I don't particularly feel that is my role. I feel that I want to awaken the sleeping women of power, of their spirituality and their gifts. We are magic. We are healers. We are intuitive. And what I also was understanding is this power exists, and you can use your intuitive gifts for good or bad. It's entirely up to you. It can be used. You can have an intuitive thought about something and know something and use it to destroy a person, or you can use it to bring life. Okay, but there is a power in women, that in that divine feminine energy that is so needed, and it is so underestimated that without it we don't get to where we are going. In this whole journey that I was taken through, there was a destination, and I stopped in this. And this was also symbolic. I stopped in a place where I was no longer in my fight or flight, and I was able to wear a dress and be feminine, but I was objectified, and it was safe, and it still wasn't the place. It wasn't my resting place. It wasn't the fullness of what I knew was within me and what's within you. And in walking the walk and talking the talk and going and finding it for myself, I know I'm finding it for others. There are other carries. There are other activists. There are other women that are going to wake up the golden glory of this connection to source that brings life and fullness and passion. And I know that I was being told, I'm going to break, or I am breaking, and so many, it's not just me, other women, other men, we are breaking generational trauma. We are breaking things, and we're saying no more, no more, no more. Enough is enough. We are making the change by being the change. Whoosh, channel over. It just switches off sometimes. And that's a wrap, guys. That is a wrap. But please tell me if that resonates, or if that inspires you, or if you feel the warmth of the words, because there is something that is calling you, that is calling me. And Spirit said to me, you have to have your eyes blinkered, because your path is very unique, and so is yours. And people may look to you and say, what is she talking about? What is she doing? Who does she think she is? Don't care, right? Yes, the warmth of the words. Thank you, guys. Oh, I really feel your... Ooh, can feel it coming back. Thank you, girls and boys. I know the boys came in too. I'm just going to give you some light language, because whoever's here and whoever's watching this afterwards, please just take my words. They're not my words, they're channeled words, and allow them to take root and seed in your heart and in your soul and in your being, and let it start to grow. Feel the call that is calling you to your purpose, to your destiny, to your passion. And I'll tell you something, it's not a cross to bear. It's not a cross to bear. It's exciting. It will excite you. It will bring you to your knees, because you're so passionate about it that you cannot not do it. And that's when you know. That's when you know. I'm getting emotional, guys. You know me. I let it spill out. But I really feel the love coming back. And if you have anything to ask or add to that, please do put it in the comments, so people coming to this later will know. I love you too. I can feel the love. I'm getting so warm. I can feel your love. Thank you, guys. I'm going to go now. God bless you. See you soon. Hello, everyone.